Hello, I'm Peter Blackwood. Welcome back to Icon Diary. I'm painting an icon of C.S. Lewis, and there are many photos of him on the internet, but I've chosen this photo as my model. It needs cropping to fit my standard portrait orientation for the calendar project, and this will be icon number 91. My sketch to scale has roughed out and to see how it could fit on the panel, and I think this pencil sketch face is a bit fat, so I will need to be careful of this and correct it when it's painted onto the panel. Well, on the panel I blocked in the shape with yellow ochre and water with a hoghair brush. Then added some egg tempera to refine the details, and then added some Mars Black to add shading. I've then painted the background, and this time it's a mixture. It's a mixture of unbleached titanium plus Terra Vert, and that kind of worked, but not as much as I wanted. It was too sort of sappy green, so I added some ultramarine blue, and the blue with the yellow in the unbleached really works quite well. For the halo I added more blue, and for the inscription I used Ercolano red. I've never painted tweed before, so I added burnt umber to unbleached titanium, and then I added more white for the highlights, and then tried to stipple this with a darker version of the burnt umber and unbleached titanium, and used a sort of a hoghair brush, which sort of has very prickly hairs on it. And then to soften it back I used a glaze of the original mix to try and give a more blurred effect. Did it work? Well, kind of. Anyway, then was painted the shirt and the tie, and then comes the time for the face. And for this, as always, the flesh membrane is yellow ochre plus some Terra Vert and Ercolano red, then using titanium white progressively for the highlights being added to the flesh membrane. And as always for the detailed work, Mars Black and Ercolano red, and Ercolano red for the working some blush into the deeper shadows and the tear ducts and the cheeks and the lips. So, let me say something about C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis is well known, a Christian author, an academic, and an apologist for the Christian faith. He is best known for his fiction writing and for some of the themes in which he takes up Christian symbolic characters. His name is Charles Staples, that's what the CS stands for. Charles Staples Lewis was born in 1898 in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Though he later became an academic at Oxford and at Cambridge, he maintained his Irish identity throughout his life. As a young man, he abandoned his childhood Christian faith and became an atheist. However, in 1929, he read George MacDonald's book, Phantastes, and said it baptized his imagination and gave him a deep sense of the holy. In 1931, he became a Christian after a long discussion with two Christian friends, J.R.R. Tolkien and Hugo Dyson. Lewis describes his experience the following day in his book Surprised by Joy. He wrote, "When we, Warnie," that's his brother and himself, set out by motorcycle to the Whipsnade Zoo, I did not believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. And when we reached the zoo, I did. He had resisted conversion vigorously, and in the same book he noted that he was brought to faith like a prodigal, kicking, struggling, resentful, and darting his eyes in every direction for a chance to escape. After his conversion, he became a member of the Church of England. His major vocation was as a professor of English language and literature at the universities of Oxford and then at Cambridge. He was a prolific author during his lifetime, with many of his books becoming bestsellers. During the 1940s, he wrote and published in newspapers and for radio, with many of those writings later published as books. In 1950, the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia series, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, was published. It became very popular and is one of his most enduring and endearing books. The series contains Christian ideas intended to be easily accessible to young readers. In addition to Christian themes, Lewis also borrows characters from Greek and Roman mythology, as well as traditional British and Irish fairy tales. Best known among his other writings, all of which explain various themes of Christian belief, are Mere Christianity, Surprised by Joy, and The Great Divorce. The Screwtape Letters and The Four Loves. Following the death of his wife Joy Davidman Gresham, after a relatively brief marriage, he wrote the moving book A Grief Observed. C.S. Lewis is commemorated as a Christian apologist, not one who argued about Christian theology directly, but who was able to present Christian belief both rationally and imaginatively. His attempts to respond to common objections to Christian faith in his time gave him wide appeal to a popular audience. Thank you for joining me again on this journey on Icon Diary, and hope to see you again. Please record if you like this. Please also leave a comment. Love to hear from you.